Steven Milhausen here, sportingnews.com. And yes, we did not do a Raw recap. That was my fault, as I had a prior an engagement that came up at the last second, and I do greatly apologize. I said we'd be on Raw on Monday, but man, I wish we would have been Monday instead of Wednesday, because holy Christ, that this show of Impact sucked. Joining me from he's the host of the Pro Wrestling Experience on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com and writer for WrestleZone.com, Josh Lopez. And brother, how do you write about this for 2 hours?
I want to just let everybody know I'm still having the mental capacity to do this, especially with all the crazy stuff I've been doing today. I do a full mix of everything, especially my radio show. I do the editing that day. I don't wait later on in the week. I just get it out as quickly as I can. That's a process. So speaking of doing the 3-hour radio show, prep work and editing, you're talking maybe 7 hours this morning. Coming back here, doing the TNA writing article, that's 9. So it's a lot of it takes a lot of passion, especially if you're a person like me that wants to work in the wrestling business. I don't care if a show's good or bad. You learn from it. You take down notes, especially if somebody wants to be a creative writer or something. You can write down what not to do and what to do. And when you have shows like tonight, there's a lot of what not to do. So I'm doing pretty good. It was a busy day, but it's worth it. It's part of the grind, if you will.
Oh, part of the grind, but you are a saint. I will tell you that much. I don't know how you get through this show. I almost fell asleep at nauseum more than once.
Mm-hmm.
And God, I was about to die. And we'll get right now. For some of the fans that Josh are watching this for the first time, me and you, describe what TNA is actually doing here and why they're doing this, the TNA World Title Series.
So we're coming off the heels of Bound for Glory about 3 weeks ago. Matt Hardy became the champion. Obviously, everybody knows about the TNA Destination America issue with the TV schedule. So you're in a clusterfuck, if you will, in this situation. How can you provide content for the next 3 months because their contract expires in January? So I guess their creative way, if you will, was to come up with an excuse saying EC3 was filing an injunction to get Matt Hardy stripped from the title because his brother Jeff Hardy was the special guest referee in the match between him, Drew Galloway, and Matt Hardy. So EC3 files an injunction the day after Bound for Glory. Matt Hardy stripped out of the title. Billy Corgan and Dixie Carter have a 5-minute thing where they announce they're going to debut this TNA World Title Series. And the winner of the series obviously becomes the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. The issue is here, a lot of these matches were taped a couple of months ago in July. There was a series, like 9 days or something, I think it was 8 or 9 days, where TNA was taping shows. And they weren't used for one night only. There was actual impact. So I guess this is the content they wanted to air since their TV deal was done in January and they can't provide new content because they have no money for new TV tapings. So we got this clusterfuck. We got 8 groups. You have a knockouts group. You have a wildcard group, TNA Originals group, tag team specialists, a whole bunch of characters. You even have women in this series actually having the opportunity to fight for the title. And actually we'll get to the women later on in the show. So basically, round robin tournament after the preliminary matches are over. I guess that should happen in a couple weeks, probably into November. But yeah, it's really odd. I've been trying my best to keep updated with the scoreboards. I don't need Josh Matthews to do it. I just found my own map. And it's an arduous test. It's confusing. And I give them this. I give them credit for trying to do something out of the box. But at the same time, Steve, I feel it's a half-fast way to have content on air because you put yourself in this position that you're going to be booted off your second network in the last 2 years.
I don't feel bad for this company whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've all given this company more than one opportunity.
Yeah.
And they keep screwing it up and screwing up. Simple mistakes.
Yeah.
And just simple things that you even look back to 2006 and sign Kurt Angle, and you're like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Good start. And then you rushed right into Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe, and you ran that shit into the ground. And then just bringing in Hogan and Bischoff and letting them run the ship. And it just turned into a mess.
Yeah.
And it's their fault. Now they're stuck in the position they're in. Like you said, looks like it's going to be the second network in 3 years. In 2 years, they're going to be kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty stuvious thing. It's like kicked off at the same getting kicked off a network 2 times in less than a year. That's pretty good. That's pretty freaking bad, in all honesty.
I could say this. Maybe the WWE ECW show would probably have a longer stay than Impact does on the new networks that come on. Think about that.
You think so?
Yeah. Ion had a good run with Main Event for a couple years. I remember when I was doing articles from Between the Roads, they had their shows consistently on there. I mean, they're averaging about 300,000 people live ratings each week, and the ratings are trash. It's been trash for almost 3 years now. I think when Russo was writing, they had 2.2 million. I guess that was the peak they had a couple of years ago, but it's just been down and down and down. And you have so many talents that have entered that system that just walked out of the door. Young Bucks, AJ Styles. A lot of these guys are now making more money than I'm sure they ever made at TNA, and probably having more fun. And like you mentioned, I have no sympathy for these guys. You only have yourself to blame when you're in this position, and I honestly don't know what other network could really buy into a product that already says TNA, and we already know, we've talked about it a million times, the label is not going to get you any advertisers and sponsors. I'm sorry, TNA is not going to, the label TNA is not going to get you anything business-wise. So that's going to hurt in the marketing situation, all the jazz. TNA is WCW adjacent, but worse. You don't have a $1 million guy backing your company. You have guys who think they're creative writers but don't know anything about the wrestling business. It's nonsense.
That was funny. Think about it. They had CM Punk.
Yep.
They had a chance to sign Daniel Bryan, and they screwed that up.
Yep.
After he got released from WWE. Holy Christ, the company is so stupid. I don't even feel bad for this company. I really don't. What they deserve is what they're getting. One bad after another. Let's get into the show. Josh, how did this show really, because you could drive Impact more than I can. So talk about Impact, what you thought of the show, and kind of break it down. And then I'll just kind of throw my 2 cents.
First off, I thought the show had too many talking segments and too many Josh, Matthew, and Pope segments. I get they're the lead commentators and trying to get everybody updated with the scoreboards and all the scenarios and blah, 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 blah. I thought the show had no avid flow to get me hooked for the 2 hours. We talked about how Raw can get you in for 3 hours. I felt this was like a 5-hour show tonight. And I liked the Robbie E. Matt Hardy match. I thought it was a very good opener, very solid. Robbie E. trying to show that he's more than a joke than he's been presented over the last 4 years. I think Matt Hardy's underrated, especially for a guy that's went through so many demons in his personal life to come back to where he is today. I liked the main event with Awesome Kong and Gail Kim. It's just a lot of the matches were like indifferent. I thought the Aiden O'Shea Crazy Steve match was boring. Aiden O'Shea's majority of his offense was trying to do right hands to Crazy Steve. I wasn't sure if this was a knockout match or a professional wrestling match. I don't know where he was going there. And then you had Drew Galloway and Grado. Grado's funny here and there, but he steals all the moves from past wrestlers trying to pull off a Scottish Eugene gimmick. I can't buy into it. The match was boring. And then you got James Storm in Abyss, a guy who you ruined, and he left your company for NXT, is still on Impact because these shows were taped back 2 months ago. And there's no really, you can't. My main thing is that I couldn't buy into anything that happened on the show because the show felt like it was taped. It didn't feel like anything was special or had any consequences to it. So I thought the show was a hit and miss show for me. I wouldn't give it a grade because I just don't want to give my head. I don't want my head to explode right now.
You know, I'm sitting there in the Robbie Eat Matt Hardy match. I thought was really good, and I was actually really impressed. Robbie Eat to me has improved a lot from the first time I seen him. You know, until right now, I thought he's improved well. And Matt Hardy's always been a good hand. And you were talking about the announcing. And me and you were talking about this on Facebook Messenger. Oh my God, Josh Matthews and the Pope. Oh my God. There is a reason I have not watched TNA Impact since when Jeff Jarrett returned. And what was it, like 2-3 months ago?
Yeah, the GSW invasion.
In June? Mm-hmm. Maybe in June. I've watched TNA in 4 months, and I feel like I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
No, not at all. And
these shows are taped, too.
Which is worse.
Yeah.
Those are taped and still awful. Holy shit.
Like Charles Barkley. Terrible.
I love Charles. I love Charles. But back to this horrible show. But I thought the announcing I could do without. Me and you can do the show and be a lot better. Just my opinion. Actually, anybody can announce a show. I can get my 5-year-old niece who knows nothing about pro wrestling, and she could probably keep the fans more entertained than Josh Matthews and the Pope. But
maybe Mike Adamle could make the show entertaining.
Oh my God. Mike Adamle.
Come on, we're Chicago guys.
Mike Adamle was absolutely terrible. I remember one was Royal. It was the Royal Rumble where Orton faced Hardy.
Yeah, Rumble at the Garden.
And he screwed up Jeff Hardy's name. Called him Jeff Harvey. Jeff Hardy. Challenging Randy Orton for the WWE World Title. What the fuck is Jeff Harvey?
Yeah.
Mike Adamle. But that's it.
Mike Adamle drove Taz to being the CBS podcast guy now.
Goodness gracious. Taz is doing a great job. I know.
Yes, he is.
Absolutely great job on Play.it. But it was like this Aiden O'Shea. I'm like, you look like a homeless man. Grotto, someone named Grotto. He faced Drew. I like Drew Galloway. Drew Galloway is so underrated. It's unbelievable. How WWE cannot find a spot for Drew Galloway just blows my mind away.
Mm-hmm.
I do not understand how Drew Galloway does not have a job in WWE. How do you screw that up? 6'8", good looking, good build, very good in the ring, but we're pushing Braun Strowman. And WWE wonders why no one likes the product right now. Because Braun Strowman is going to be headlining your next pay-per-view. You know? You can't get no worse than that. But no, then this Grotto, he looks like a homeless guy sitting at the corner.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is this guy? How does he have a job?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, not all wrestlers need to have 6 packs or whatever, but at the same point, when you're watching wrestlers and you think you could take them on in action and they look like your next door neighbor, you can't buy into what they do.
No, it's just ridiculous. Like, really? Why? This is absolutely terrible.
If you wanted a comedian guy, you could have got Cole Cabana. You could have done the same stuff that Grado's doing right now and still be entertaining.
Exactly, but God forbid anyone. And poor Cole Cabana is so vastly underrated. But that's for another conversation. But The main event was really good. That actually piqued my interest. I actually enjoyed the main event, Gail Kim and Awesome Kong. I thought a really good match. That's how you book a match. When you got the Giant. Very good selling by Kong. A lot of emotion for a babyface in Gail Kim. Mm-hmm. God forbid we see that. And I think the women really shine this week. You look at Raw. You look at, Hell in a Cell. And how they, with Charlotte and Nikki Bella, and then I think another really good match here with Gail Kim and Awesome Kong. And a shitty show, but I thought in spots, the first match was really good. The main event was really good, but the rest I could have really done without. And why is James Storm, good old James Storm? Someone told me he pulled a Rick Rude, 2 shows in the same night. Good for James Storm. Awesome. Good for him. Hey, if you're getting paid, the fault of the great TNA World Title Series is James Storm is in WWE, but is also on TNA Wrestling.
Yeah. He's pulling the Hernandez. Remember when they had that BBC gimmick?
I forgot about that. Oh,
yeah. Lucha Underground.
Oh, wait a minute. He was never technically fired from Lucha Underground.
Correct.
We know how that turned out. MVP got canned, and so did Hernandez. So. And he got canned from Lucha Underground. So I'm glad that worked out really well for both guys. But Raw was, we'll go over Raw really quick. I thought a good Raw, very solid Raw, built around Roman Reigns, and I was skeptical. I still am skeptical. It's only 1 week. San Diego was hot for everything. So let's not get too excited here and crown Roman Reigns as the guy. This is the best Roman Reigns reaction I've seen since before that injury last year. I thought since then it's been very lackluster, and it's been obvious. They tried to super push him at Mania. That didn't work. And he's been getting a very lukewarm reaction this week on Raw. I thought very good. Talking to some people that went to SmackDown, back to the same old. Mixed reaction, pretty lukewarm. So we'll see on Monday if it's a mirage from Raw to SmackDown. It seems like it was just a mirage, but I thought a job well done the way WWE booked Sunday and Monday, and I thought Raw was actually pretty good.
I agree with you, Steve. I think the crowds have been helping Raw this past couple weeks. I thought Dallas was a good crowd where they weren't trying to get themselves over, and you play into the roles of the heels and the faces on the show. I thought that helped. Even in spots of matches I thought had no consequence to it, like the Dudleys and Ryback against Barrett, Sheamus, and Rusev. I mean, the match was short, but the crowd was into the Dudleys. They did the Feed Me More thing, What's Up, and I thought San Diego was a good crowd. Next week they're in Denver. They're in the Pepsi Center for Raw this Monday. So if this, like you mentioned, if this is a mirage, I don't know. I mean, I gotta say this for no Brock Lesnar, no Undertaker, not even a Paul Heyman promo, no John Cena. I thought this was the perfect opportunity, and they executed giving guys key spotlights in main segments of the show. You had your mid-card guys winning matches. Yeah, they didn't win the main event. Del Rio beat Neville. Nice back-and-forth singles match. You had Kevin Owens beating Cesaro, which I thought was a good match in the first hour. So even though they lost the main event, I didn't think they didn't get negatively affected by it. You know what I mean? Especially with that stare down with Owens and Reigns before the finish of that match. That was just awesome. Where like everybody's clapping the mats and stuff, and the crowd's getting really excited for that stare down. Maybe that's a pay-per-view feud you want to see maybe in a couple of years. I'm not saying you have to do it right now or anything, but I enjoyed it. It was what it was. I like the Bray Wyatt Kane segment. I'm interested where they're going to go with the Wyatt family. I don't want to look too much into it because I'm just put up expectations and you're ending up going to be let down. So I want to see where they're going to go with it.
No, I agree. The main event was. It all depends on the crowd. The crowd, like you said, the crowd made LA, California, a great crowd. So you really look at it and was it a mirage? with the other parts to make them feel important. The fans will tune in. Pay-per-views will be bigger. The network subscriptions will be more. Common Sense 101, they started Sunday. They did it Monday. I fear they're not going to continue to do this. Once you get them back, I feel like it's going to be status quo. Seeing is believing with WWE.
Yeah.
I've seen a great show. The fans love the main event. And the rating from 2 to 3 went up a little bit. Not much. It was like 0.1. But you know what, though? Usually that's the big drop. Second, it just drops the whole show. It didn't do that this time. Because if you look, hour 1. Where was I? I just had it here. Where did it go? I just had it. Hold on. I apologize for it. There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. 3.64 for hour 1. Okay. 3.1 for hour 2. And then stayed the same for hour 3. So there was no drop off in the final hour where that's been the biggest things. We've seen that drop off in hour 3 from 2 to 3. That's been the big drop. The big drop this week was 1 to 2. That means you had people interested in that main event. And it showed in the crowd. The crowd was into that whole match. And you talk about Cesaro, Owens, I almost peed my pants. Fucking great. The main event, fucking great. The stare downs at the end with Owens and Reigns and Rollins. Kevin Owens will be in main eventing a year from now. I guarantee it. He will be in main events.
Yeah.
The fans buy him. That reaction was awesome. I don't know where it looks like Owens and Ambrose, from what I've been hearing. It seems kind of like the direction they're going to be going here pretty soon. But then the final stare down with Rollins and Reigns, sign me up. I'm ready. Get me the Survivor Series. But the question is now, do you give Roman Reigns the title? Is now the time to give Roman Reigns the title? Or do you do a schmaz finish, screw job finish, and you keep going with him on the chase? I think that's a bad idea. I think if you're putting him in this opportunity, the time is now. There's no more babyface challengers for Seth Rollins. He's cleaned them up. So I think the time is now to give Roman Reigns the title. Yeah, it's not WrestleMania, but you know what, though? I think if you give him the title and let him run with it and see what happens, you never know.
You made a great point there, and I talked about this in my podcast today. When is the right time to pull that trigger with Roman Reigns? What I thought really helped this Raw was the thread of the show. And it was a theme of the show that you could buy into. Everybody wants to know what's next for Seth Rollins in this title reign. His title reign's been kind of underappreciated via booking and having him go against part-timers and guys that shouldn't be in main event title scenes anymore. I think what helped the entry for Survivor Series now is that you got a current guy in the roster. Some people like him, some people don't, but it's a guy that's on the roster that's taking on Seth Rollins. I understand the marketability of a Brock Lesnar or whoever, the John Cena, but there's only so much you can do when you continue having these older talents being your marquee stars. There's only so much you can do with your younger talent when you don't give them the platform to be stars. I've seen Daniel Bryan talk about that in an IGN interview when he was promoting WWE 2K16 a month ago. There's only so much you can do with your younger stars if you don't give them a platform. And I think that really helped Raw. It was the thread. And I wish they do that more on shows. We talk about not having cliffhangers or reasons to watch back after commercial breaks. Oh, we're going to tease it to this next time. We're going to tease it at the top of the hour or something like that. This little broadcasting terms like me, about TV and all that stuff. Or even in radio terms like teasing, oh, what's the next time? Who's the next guest on our show? Blah, 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 blah. Something like that. Little small things. And I think that's why they executed on Raw. Is it time to pull the trigger on Roman Reigns? Why not? Why not? Because look at it this way, Steve. Do you want to drag this out to the Rumble, where you have another Rumble fiasco for the third straight year, where everybody knows, oh, he's going to win, and then the crowds are hating it? It's a double-edged sword. I wouldn't mind actually having Reigns winning the title at the Rumble instead of having him in the Rumble match and then winning it again for the second straight year. It kills two birds with one stone. But at the same time, is Seth Rollins still going to be the guy that you can rely on to bring in ratings throughout the fall months? I love what he does, but there is a certain element where he's on too many segments on the show. And I feel some people are kind of tired of him because he's overexposed. He's on too many segments. He says the same stuff in backstage segments. 1 second, he's trying to be a tough guy. So 1 second, the next, he's pampering to mommy and daddy the next second. There's not a balance with Seth Rollins. So I think right now is the right time. What's it going to kill you? If Roman Reigns is the next guy like they want them to be, here's your opportunity. If Roman Reigns could be a marquee guy for WrestleMania 32, put him on right now and see if business goes up. And if not, it's not his time.
See, I agree with you on that just because you also have to look at the crowd, that Survivor Series crowd to the Rumble and the main crowds. You get to January, you're getting the smart people, the people that actually pay attention. They know, because that's the hot time of the year, January to April. To the beginning of April. Not common sense. So if they've learned anything from the last 2 years, they do this now. The question is, are they smart enough to do it now? Business-wise, it makes the most sense because you can go with the Rollins rematch in December. Then maybe if you want to get cute, you could do a 3-way in January. You can go Rollins, Reigns, and Cena, or you can maybe go a different route. Who knows? Maybe you can go like Kevin Owens. Maybe you go with the heel Dean Ambrose. I think Dean's going to turn heel here pretty soon. I think that would be a very smart move to go.
Yeah.
And then you can build a Mania regardless of where they go. If they go Reigns and Brock again, which I think wouldn't be the most horrible thing I've ever seen. Maybe Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Maybe you do a Shield triple threat. There's some different ways you can go here, but if you're going to give them the title, let's worry about now. If they're going to give them the title, you have to do it now.
Yeah, you have to do it now too. And also on this point, bring back Daniel Bryan now. He's cleared. You want another spark in your ratings? Have the guy come out. You need baby faces. There's too many heels.
Way too many heels. I think we may see Daniel Bryan as part of this Undertaker team. I was suggesting this to someone in the wrestling industry, and they like the idea. They don't know, but they're like, bad idea. This is the relationship he has with Kane, which is a pretty good one. It's on and off. It's like a mother, daughter, father, boyfriend, girlfriend relationship, hot and cold. But I think that'd be the right time to bring him back. You give him some shine. He's not going to overshine the Undertaker. It's a good way to bring him back, and it's in an elimination format where, for a little while, he's not going to have to do too much.
Yeah,
that first big pay-per-view back, he's not going to really have to do anything. He's not going to have to carry the match. The match will sell itself based on the 25th anniversary of the Undertaker. So I look at it that way. He's cleared. From what I've been told, he's cleared. He's roaring. He's ready to go. The question is, we haven't heard anything. No one's saying really nothing publicly. So, but if you're going to give it to Reigns, I think you have to do it now. You can't wait. You can't try this chasing for the title because you tried it in the middle of the year and it didn't work. You gave him the title shot at what was it? Whatever that May pay-per-view was in St. Louis.
No.
Oh, I forget what it was. Something stupid. And then at Money in the Bank, he got screwed out of the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah.
By Bray Wyatt. So you keep going back to that well, and it's like you can't keep screwing this guy because then the fans are still lukewarm to him. He's got to build some more goodwill, I think. So if you're going to do it, it has to be now. Who cares if the fans sense it? Just do it and see what happens. You don't know what you have in this guy until you actually give it to him.
Yeah, you got to take a chance. I think one of the main issues in professional wrestling, especially in WWE, is insecurity. You got to take a chance. You don't know if something will work or not unless you give it a chance. And when it comes to Reigns, I want to bring up this point because yes, it's smart to do it now. I don't know. Survivor Series is in Atlanta. It's a traditional NWA territory. I think that's some things people don't pay attention to when you're booking these type of shows, like a Raw or a pay-per-view in a non-traditional WWE market, where you still have majority of that fan base still pissed off that WCW is still not around and that Vince killed the professional wrestling business and all that. I think that's something that people need to put in consideration here. Maybe Reigns gets booed out of the building in Atlanta for winning the title at Survivor Series. Maybe that's the scenario that happens. But I agree with you. I totally agree with you, Steve. Now is the time to pull the trigger, take some chances. You're gonna see where your future lies in the next 5 years off of what you do with these guys for the next 2 months. I get it, Undertaker's there. That's your marquee attraction for Survivor Series. But now until the Royal Rumble, you have to start making your stars with your current roster. You're going to have all these part-timers come back after the Rumble. Okay, I understand that. I think that's going to be the swan song, and it should be a swan song of this philosophy that we need to go back to the past to sell subscriptions.
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly where you have to go.
Yeah.
You would think, and that is the whole key here. And the fact too, they kept Reigns' promos short. That's what you got to do with Roman. Short, quick, to the point. Get in, get out. See you later. That's what you have to do with him to get him over like that. No, I don't want to hear him talk too much. He shouldn't have to talk too much. You're the badass. Just be a badass. That's all you got to do. Be what got you over to begin with. And I think if they go that route, it should work. If it doesn't work, it's all on them, or it's just the fans don't want him to be the guy. And I don't have a problem with that at all. But the rating was a little better, not too much. The overall rating, I look at the number, the viewers were about the same, but more homes were watching if you just look at the rating number. So I thought that was, I think, a good next week, like you said, Josh, in good old Denver, Colorado. The Young Bucks, exclusive North American deal with Ring of Honor. I love these cats. They tease, they troll. It is fantastic. Matt and Nick Jackson staying with, they'll keep bringing the Super Kick Party, the Ring of Honor, and they could still be able to do some their New Japan shows, but the only indies they'll be able to do are with PWG and New Japan, and that is it. So good job for Ring of Honor here. I heard it gave them a pretty good deal, and happy for him. A little more money. Matt just had a kid, and I think this is the best move all around for all parties. And we get to see more super kicks, which I think is pretty cool.
I'm not the biggest Young Buck fan. I love what they do. I'm sorry.
God. How do you not like the Super Kick Party? What is wrong with the Young Bucks?
I like the Super Kick Party. I don't think they're the greatest thing with sliced bread. That's my thing.
Not too sweet, Josh. Too sweet.
You need to come up with something new, man. It's 2015.
Hey, you know what? Right now, they're cooler than the NWO.
That's a stretch. I'll give you more popular than the Wolfpack or the whatever formation of NWO there was.
So you're not a big fan of the Super Kick Party?
Oh, I am a fan of theirs. They're not my favorite tag team in wrestling. I love what they do. I think they're great performers. I like that they're getting this opportunity to have a contract like that. They deserve it. They have marketability. They use social media well. Like you mentioned, they troll people, all that good stuff. I enjoyed their matches with Red Dragon and other tag teams on there. They're still young, so I don't think they're pushing the well too much. Most professional wrestlers, usually their dream is to go to WWE. Maybe it's just the case where you're making smart decisions for what's best for you and your family. You're doing what you love to do. You're in a company where you're not stranglehold by certain things to fit a certain mold. So they're capitalizing on the opportunities that are presented to them. I don't know if it's going to be too late for them to come to WWE because they're not going to get any younger. But pardon the pun, but I think it's pretty cool gift for Ring of Honor, and I'm interested to see where we're going to go with this because it's cool they got these exclusive contracts, but they're still going to be able to do the same stuff that they're known for outside of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be less, from what I'm hearing, less New Japan dates, which will be good for him because with Nick having a kid and everything. So I think that's vital because you're looking at it now, they're starting to have families. They're young. They're not getting any younger. That travel does wear on you. So I've heard it's gonna be less trips to Japan. And they get focused on Ring of Honor, PWG. Get to be at home more, make a little more money, and that guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks. That I think that is very important in especially in this industry. In the industry of pro wrestling, that's vital to have a guaranteed contract, and not many guys there have that. So I think very good for them. It's good to see. I like those guys. I think there's something fresh and unique to what they bring to wrestling. So I'm intrigued to see more dates with them. I love their stuff. Big fans of Nick and Matt. So good to see the Super Kick Party going to be mainly in North America in 2013. And did you see that thing about Hulk Hogan?
No, I haven't.
The contract?
For what?
His final WCW contract?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God. It was released yesterday by Chris, aka Mookie Harrington. And wow, Hulk Hogan got a lot of money. I'll put it that way. For final contract from 98 to 2002, he got paid a lot of money, which wasn't right whatsoever. Why? If you look at 1998, you look at Hulk Hogan. Why is Hulk Hogan getting all this money? Is what I don't understand. Don't get me wrong. Good for Hulk. If you could get the money, God freaking bless you. But I'm kind of jealous of Hulk Hogan getting that much money. Yeah, but I don't know what he did to the. God, he was getting like 25, like a lot of the house gate. He was getting, almost like about $600,000 to only make 6 pay-per-view appearances a year. Man, what was WCW? No wonder why WCW went bankrupt and they had to sell the company. It's because of idiots like Hulk Hogan and idiots like Eric Bischoff, who was so far up Hulk Hogan's ass. Holy Christ. I wish I had that life of just getting paid to do nothing. And what did Hulk Hogan really do from beyond 98? What did Hulk Hogan really do? He was dead by 99, more or less. 2000, barely saw him. And then he left WCW because he couldn't handle a promo by Vince Russo. And actually, it was said WWE paid the last 3 months of his contract. But good for the Hulkster, though. If you could steal that much money, I have absolutely no problem with you getting that type of money. That's just me, though. But
when I was watching those shows back then, watching them on the network, it was just like Hogan was there. He had the NWO movement, but really long term in that storyline, it really worked for 2 years, and that was it. And then after that, it was just he was there, and it was like I don't know. It was just like maybe he should have retired after that NWO run because really what was left there for him to do? I don't know, but good for him. He got his money, but eventually he spent a lot of money and got himself into trouble, and that's where he leads to the TNA issue. And Hulk Hogan kind of prostituted the wrestling business for over 30 years. So
he got a $2 million signing bonus when he signed his contract in May of 98. 6 pay-per-views a year. I was wrong on my numbers. $675,000 for each show. It was either that or a 15% of domestic cable sales received by the WCW for each event. He earned a little bit over $4 million a year just from pay-per-view, and received with an additional $1.35 million every 4 months. Holy shit! That alone is almost $5.5 million, ladies and gentlemen. And he was paid for $25,000 or 25% of the gross arena ticket sales from each Nitro or Thunder he appeared on. So think about this, Josh, for 1 second. Remember that little match he had with Bill Goldberg in front of like 40,000 people? Josh, you there? Hello? Uh-oh. We lost Josh. Josh. We did lose Josh. Josh is not there. I will continue this podcast by myself, god dang it. And if you look at the continuation of this, for when he lost the title to Bill Goldberg, he got paid $226,582.50. Hey, there he is. Nice to see you, buddy.
Yeah, sorry about that. My computer was bugging out. I had to switch over, but
you look. Guess how much Hulk Hogan got paid to lose the world title? That little show in front of 40,000 people?
Yeah.
Guess how much Hulk Hogan got paid to do the job?
Maybe $1 million.
$226,582.50. And the company drew a $930,000 gate for that Nitro.
Wow.
And remember the finger poke of doom?
Yeah.
Hogan got $232,000, $232,683.75 for doing nothing. Received 50% of all net profits and merchandise sold that used his likeness. I like this one. This is great. You have to travel first class.
Yeah.
First class hotel accommodations.
Mm-hmm.
Got a limo to go to every show.
Yeah.
And his per diem per day was $175. But remember that per diem, there's catering at the arena. So you get to spend $175 a day to get drunk, more or less. That's a lot of beer. Just saying.
Yeah.
Let's see. Creative control on his contract, which we talked about already. And this is my favorite one, John. You know those nice, cute NWO shirts that we all had?
Yeah.
He got paid $20,000 per month everywhere he went to wear the NWO shirt. No wonder why he wore it all the time. You pay me $20,000, I'll wear whatever. I'll have underwear over my head. Jesus Christ. Good for the Hulk. Good for Hulk.
Man.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with it. And they gave away Hulk Hogan's address. If you want to know where Hulk Hogan lives, ladies and gentlemen, where he used to live in that nice big fancy house on Hogan Knows Best. 130 Willdale Drive, Bel Air, Florida, 34616.
It's nuts, man. It's crazy.
Good
for him, though.
Hey. Good for Hulk. Good for a guy that didn't do too much. Don't get me wrong. The biggest star in the history of wrestling, which is debatable. But I give Hulk Hogan a lot of credit, though. He made a lot of money for not doing too much, and you know what? I don't have no problem with that. Yeah. And we will end with ADR, good old Alberto Del Rio. And I was telling you this earlier, courtesy of our man Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer. And, man, good for Alberto Del Rio. He's having a multi-year deal worth $1.45 million. Who thought in 2015 Alberto Del Rio would be worth $1.45 million a year? Downside, Josh. That's unheard of in this day of age.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, I can't even picture the amount of money that would be involved in a contract if CM Punk ever decided he wanted to go back to the WWE. I think it'd be maybe even more than what Del Rio has, but even then, this contract is really huge. I don't know if they're going to use Del Rio as a marquee attraction for WrestleMania this year, so I don't know if that. I don't know. It's a multi-year deal, so I don't think he'll be that angry about it if he's not like the main event of the show. But you would have to think he would have to be at least in a title scene or maybe have a title run here and there. So this contract has to have some meaning to it, not just, I'm there, I'm having a mid-card title reign, and then that's it.
Nah, a good start. He beat Cena. They're going to push him as the top Hispanic star, which he should have been to begin with.
Yeah.
The funny part, they got rid of him. But I think that was smart of him to go because I think that he proved to Vince he can make it on his own. He's like, all right, man, I'll prove you wrong. He left and he made a lot of money, very popular. And then you were talking about Punk and and when he comes back, sorry to say, people CM Punk will come back to wrestling. Not going to be anytime soon.
Yeah,
but I think he'll sooner rather than later. I think he will be back, and that's just it doesn't matter. Even at 38 years old, a multi-year deal like that, and that's not including merch, DVDs, the video game, house shows, pay-per-views. I don't even care if you main event me in WrestleMania. I'm collecting a downside of $1.4 million with a reduced schedule. Not the Jericho, Lesnar, Undertaker schedule, but still a pretty good schedule where it is a reduced schedule.
Well, so it's like a Dudley schedule. Like he's working the TVs, but he's not do all the house shows.
More or less. I think it's even better than the Dudley contract.
Okay.
Which, hey, it's not a bad deal. He's more over than the Dudleys overall. I think at this stage, even though I would love to see a singles run with Bubba. If you put Bubba Ray as, oh my goodness, watch out! But no, it's in WWE. This deal was been done for about 5 weeks. I told you this Sunday when we were talking after the Hell in a Cell recap. I had a feeling he signed and I'm gonna blast out the interview either the end of this week or the beginning of next about. It seemed like if the more I've listened to the last couple of minutes, I should have known he was already signed. Just the words he said. And I'm mad at myself for that one. I'm really mad at myself at that because I should have seen that coming, but it still had been signed for 5 weeks. Yeah. And we didn't know. So I'm very good for ADR here. And it looks like he's going to be able to finish up some of the AAA spots. He dropped the title, which I think is nice of WWE to do, and I heard he handled it classily. I listened to Conan's podcast on MLW at Court Bauer, and he did let them know, hey, this is what's going on. He kept them in the loop. He didn't say too much, but he let them know kind of what was going on, and I give him a lot of credit for that. And like you said, I think he'll get the title here and there. I'm not going to say you're going to give him like a Punk run, but I think he'll get a couple chances with the belt. He'll keep getting put in high-profile matches, do a lot of different things for WWE, make a lot of money, and nothing wrong with it.
Let me ask you this. So SmackDown's going to the USA Network in 2016. You got Del Rio back, maybe Brian will be back. I think I'm going to pose this question to you, and I never really got your perspective on this. I grew up basically towards the end of the Attitude Era with the Ruthless Aggression era, and what that era was known was the brand extension. I'm not saying you have to have separate Raw or SmackDown pay-per-views, but in this case, with SmackDown going to the USA Network, would it be smart to A, bring back the brand extension, and B, have 2 titles back? So let's say like you have a Brock Lesnar who becomes the WWE World Heavyweight Champion and he wants to take some time off. You can still have a world champion on pay-per-view from SmackDown.
No. That sucked before. It'll suck worse now.
Yeah?
Yeah, not a fan of that one. I wasn't a fan. I thought it was kind of cool when they initially did it. It's like, oh, this is kind of cool. But it was like their own competition. They were trying to recreate like WWE versus WCW, and we've seen how that went.
Well, suddenly it's like this now with WWE versus NXT in a certain type of way. I mean, I can't go without Dave going on Twitter saying that, WWE and NXT should do a rival pay-per-view or something where WWE guys take out awesome. NXT guys. So I see where you're coming from.
But yeah, I like the question, though. I like the question because I've gotten asked this before, and I just don't want to see it again.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. 2 separate champions. Let's just keep it all in one.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with that. But let's hope they don't, bastardize NXT either. I think like a one-time only thing, maybe here and there, see some matches like that. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like a WWE against NXT. I would be intrigued by that. I think that would be kind of cool. but not as a weekly thing, no, but maybe like a quarterly, maybe once or twice a year. Yeah, why not? I think that would be pretty cool.
Would you implement an NXT Championship match on the monthly pay-per-view since it's on the network?
See, I would love that idea. I don't know why they don't do that. I love that idea. I think they would be huge.
Like, you don't even have to have the guys on Raw. I mean, you can have them build that program on the weekly NXT shows, then go from there. If you want to bring the guys in for a go-home show to surprise the crowd, oh, we're having an NXT attraction match on the go-home show before a particular pay-per-view. Oh, here's the preview for that upcoming match, and you can tell the backstory of that feud heading towards that pay-per-view.
I think that would be really cool. I think that'd be something unique. I think it'd be something different. You know what I liked what they did on Raw too? They promoted at the next episode of NXT. Holy shit!
They've been doing that for the past couple of weeks, actually.
Really? Okay, I guess for some
it goes over people's head because of the long commercial breaks. So I do see it though.
Okay, all right then. It's something they've been doing. I do apologize for that then. But actually, there was one more thing I did want to discuss and get your thoughts on this. Kurt Angle going to be appearing for Bellator MMA, their Fan Fest on next Thursday out in St. Louis, and he will be doing a media session the day before in St. Louis, which I just found out I'm attending apparently, and my boss told me I need to go, and Bellator asked, I didn't know. My editor said I have to go, so I get to make a one-day trip to St. Louis, Missouri, which isn't far, but 8 hours of my life I'd like to have back. But no, the rumor is there's going to be some type of announcement. Ken Shamrock teased on Twitter about an announcement of his next fight. I've been hearing this for a hot minute about maybe Kurt Angle and Ken Shamrock facing off in Bellator. I reached out to Bellator. One source from there told me yes. Out next week, but what do you make of Kurt Angle appearing at this Fan Fest and a media session on November 4th? The 5th he'll be doing a Fan Fest, and then he'll be at the show on November 6th. So what do you make of this whole situation right now with Kurt Angle?
I think it's cool. Obviously, Kurt has expressed it many times throughout his career that he wanted to be part of MMA, whether it was with UFC or not. Things didn't work out, contract-wise and some health issues when he wanted to go back a couple of years ago. And, I watch. I'm a casual Bellator fan. I see their shows here and there on Spike TV. And I like what I see. I like Bobby Lashley's fights on there. I think he's really underrated as an MMA fighter. I saw the Ken Shamrock, trying to remember the other guys.
Kimbo Slice.
Yeah, Kimbo Slice fight a couple of weeks ago on YouTube. And you know what? Why not? I mean, if this is something he wants to do, and he's good, nobody's going to deny Kurt Angle's work ethic. I mean, he can. If you doubt him, he's going to prove you wrong. Do I think he needs to be becoming a full-time MMA fighter or whatever? No. But if this is a one-time thing and he wants to get out of his system to give it a chance, why not? It's not going to do anything business-wise for Impact Wrestling because they're not on Spike TV anymore. So this is good for Kurt. I hope you get to talk to him if you see him out there in St. Louis.
I will be. No, Bellator guaranteed me an interview with him, and that's the lure of me going.
Yeah.
Apparently, they emailed me.
Mm-hmm.
It was maybe I did an MMA podcast this afternoon, and they emailed me like right near the end of that podcast, and I kind of chuckled. I looked on Twitter; everyone's talking about this, and I'm like, the topic was discussed, and I went back and forth with with two of their PR guys. And they're like, "Will you come out?" And I'm like, "I'm not just gonna come out to come out." I'm like, no offense. I'm like, but the card isn't It's not, I'm not going because the card isn't like when you were here in June when I went with there's no lure for me to come.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we're going to have, Kimbo and, Kurt Angle there. And I'm like, well, are you going to have them for the media day? If you have the media day, I'll drive down. Maybe. And so my editor's like, well, yeah. He's like, just go down there for the day, get the video, get in, get out, and go home. And I'm like, and that's what I'm going to do. They don't like them. Bellator doesn't like it, but trying to drum up interest. I get that. It makes sense. It's a good move. But the funny thing was, Kurt Angle tweeted this. And you know who retweeted it? Take a guess.
Dixie Carter.
Impact Wrestling's Twitter handle.
Oh, wow.
So, conspiracy theory here.
Yeah.
Little conspiracy time with Steve. Is this a sign of maybe Impact going back to Spike?
Not unless Spike TV owns Impact Wrestling, the entire company, and it's their own entity.
Because they own all of Bellator.
Yeah.
Viacom, not Spike, but Viacom as a whole. Would Viacom buy pro wrestling? Would they buy with the exit of kickboxing?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a chance? I think now there's a chance for TNA. TNA may have a 13,000th life.
I think there might be a chance, but at the end of the day, it has to be a Viacom, Spike TV owned run company. Having John Gaboric and Dixie Carter run the day by basis of Impact Wrestling is not going to help that company grow. It's just not. And
John Gaboric's a moron. I'll put it that way.
Yes. And even WCW TV back in the day before Nitro came out wasn't always something to gloat about. I've seen a lot of research. I watched those Legends roundtables on the WWE Network with Jim Ross and Pat Patterson, those guys, Michael Hayes, who were there during that time. And, I think that Viacom could help TNA have the exposure they really needed for the last 12 or 15 years? Maybe, maybe not. But I really think at the end of the day, when it comes to TNA and their TV deal, I think it's more likely that they would go to WGN than they would to Viacom, especially with their relationship with Billy Corgan at this rate.
I don't know. Like, I do agree, though. I think if they do go back, and I agree, I think they would have to sell. Viacom would have to have control of the company and get someone to oversee the company.
Yeah.
Which is not, I don't want John Gaboric or Dixie Carter anywhere near my company. That is just me. I would have, and it's no offense to John. He's more of not that role.
Yeah.
Too many screw-ups for that company's own liking. And Dixie Carter is Dixie Carter. And so, but I think I just got this weird feeling. It just seems a little too convenient. If I don't know. I don't know anything. I've reached out to Spike. I've gotten no response. As of an hour ago, I sent the email about 3 hours ago. But I just looked at my email right when you last talked, and I didn't nothing back yet. I won't get nothing maybe till tomorrow. But this is interesting, though. But if we see Kurt back in, Kurt told, like you said, maybe this is a bucket list thing. Will Kurt fight? I really don't know. Do I think he should at 46 and his neck issues? No, I really don't. But this would be a safer fight. And just Ken's 51, 52.
Yeah.
I guess. It's a rating thing. I understand the rating aspect of it. It'll help Bellator. I think this, like, Tito Ortiz, Stephan Bonner helped. Shamrock and Kimbo, that's helped ratings. It's about what you have on underneath. Lashley was on underneath on the Kimbo Slice Ken Shamrock show. So I think it's interesting. Maybe you can go Kurt Angle and Bobby Lashley. Maybe down the line, if Kurt wins his first fight, maybe you can go Bobby Lashley as a second fight. I think that would be kind of cool. But let's see what happens next week. But I'm going to get some answers from Kurt. He's probably going to lie to me like he has before. But, the one time I did talk to Kurt on this issue and I found out he lied. After a week later, after I did an interview with Dana White, and I got a different answer. But it's interesting. But watch out for this scenario. Just maybe Impact will have another life and go back to Spike TV. Definitely something to think about. But that is it for today. Impact, I give it an F. I'll give it a D, actually. I'm kidding. I will give it a D because I did like the first match. I liked the main event. I thought those are really good. Nothing else really that exciting. I thought Raw was an A+ all the way. The way they did Raw, I thought was really well done. Except the announcing still bad, and God forbid, please get rid of JBL.
Amen.
Please.
Amen.
Please. I'm not saying it because he blocked me. I'm just saying it because he sucks.
He's not helping the broadcast. He's getting no one over as a heel. Not one.
Michael Cole really does. Byron Saxton's pretty bad. I wouldn't even mind if they went back to Cole and Lawler.
Yeah.
At least Lawler gets people over. But that's just my, and I like Jerry. Jerry's a good guy. But tomorrow we will be back for some. You ready for some SmackDown tomorrow night, Josh? We're not giving away the spoiler. We don't do, and you will be covering Friday night, Thursday. I don't know why I'm thinking Friday night. Are you covering Thursday night SmackDown tomorrow night?
Yes, I am. Halloween edition. Well, Halloween's on Saturday, but yes, we have a spooky edition of SmackDown tomorrow. I don't look at spoilers, but I did see a listing of the matches tomorrow, which I'm kind of intrigued by. You have Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. You have Dean Ambrose, Cesaro, and Ryback against the Wyatt family. I heard Tyler Breeze may be on the show this tomorrow night. So I'm interested to see where they're going to go with this, actually.
Now, usually you get a Halloween episode or like the holiday-themed episodes, and they're usually not too hot.
Yeah.
They're really not. That's why I usually don't look forward to these holiday editions because they usually suck.
Yeah.
Well, be prepared for the matches you're saying. I hope they're good. I'm actually seeing this is what I want what this trial run is going to be because now it's going to force me to. I'm behind by like 2.5 months worth of SmackDowns. I got 10 SmackDowns saved in my DVR. I checked earlier today. I'm not watching all 10, so I'm actually going to delete them all as soon as we're done with this podcast here. But I'm looking forward to this because I'm looking forward to a good edition of SmackDown. Let's see what needs to be improved on. I'm skipping football, Josh. You will not load my questions.
Oh man, I lost the feed of you for like 2 or 3 minutes right there, man. Totally
you lost
odd.
the feed to me. I see. I see your ugly looking mug, but no. But no, I'm looking forward to SmackDown. I'm gonna get to look at your ugly mug again tomorrow, Josh.
It's up to public opinion. I don't care if people think I'm ugly or not.
Yeah, you're not an ugly guy. I'm just trying to crack it.
Yeah, I know.
You're halfway decent. You're better looking than I am, but that's not saying much, because I am pretty ugly.
I wanted to mention this before we head off here.
Absolutely.
I think for SmackDown, I think a lot of people overlook it, saying, "Oh, of course, we have the Raw rebound and the Raw replays this and that." I agree with them to a certain extent. You do see some Raw rebound.
I got booed in there. I apologize. I do not know what happened.
Yeah,
But let's keep going with that, Josh. What happened?
I was mentioning that a lot of people harp on the replays of Raw sometimes on SmackDown, but I think a lot of people overlook the little things that happen on SmackDown as well. There's like some in-ring promo segments that I thought go over people's head. Like I enjoyed the Paige dialogue with Charlotte and Becky. I saw some more fire and emotion from Charlotte on the mic on SmackDown. It's little things here and there that I like. I like more of the pure wrestling on SmackDown. You get more of the wrestling than over the top drama storylines on SmackDown, which I like. Booker T's tolerable with Jerry Lawler. I don't like Rich Brennan one bit.
Rich Brennan, that's who it is. I was just wondering who else. I like Rich Brennan. I thought he did a good job on the Takeover show from Brooklyn. Actually,
he's good on the NXT shows, but on all these NXT guys that come on the main roster and commentary sound like robots. They sound exactly like Cole and JBL. It's brutal, and especially the way Rich Brennan says WWE, man. It's WWE.
Oh no! So
it's like Howard Stern, like his story where like WNBC or something like that.
But I'm looking forward to it, though. I'm looking forward to this edition of SmackDown. I have not watched SmackDown in a very long time, and in this little trial period that's going on here, I'm seeing how things go with views and listens and stuff like that. And I'm really intrigued by SmackDown. I'm giving up a football night, Josh, to hang out with you on my Thursday night. I like my football. I like drinking a lot of beer. So if you see a beer tomorrow night, don't be offended.
Well, I'm not going to be offended. I mean, you're not missing much with Phil Simms and Jim Nantz for Patriots and Dolphins.
God, Phil Simms is god-awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He is the worst football announcer I've heard in a very long time.
You probably
Jim Nantz is really good.
Jim Nantz is good. But you'll probably get a blowout tomorrow. So you're not really missing much out of that game.
So I'm going to make a prediction for you tomorrow night.
All right.
We're going to start this video. We're going to start this podcast tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a Captain and Coke in my hand, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know. That'll be my first one of the day. Just so you know.
All right.
Just so you know. I like having a good beverage. I've been on this water kick lately, but tomorrow I feel more comfortable now, and tomorrow night will be a Captain and Coke night, I think.
Nice.
We'll start at as soon as the podcast starts. But no, I'm looking forward to it. Josh, you had a podcast today. Where can the fans find who was on your podcast today, and where can the fans find it?
I talked to a friend of mine named Greg out of New York City. He's appears regularly on the GP podcast with David Shoemaker and Peter Rosenberg on Grantland and ESPN. Stat guy Greg. Greg the Virgin Valentine, whatever you want to call him. He's on to start off the show. We talked about Hell in the Cell, Raw ratings, what we would do differently. My take on why subjective storylines take away from our fandom as wrestling fans when we watch wrestling for wrestling matches at the end of the day. I talked about that. I also talked to Jason Powell from ProWrestling.net, which is a great website. Really cool guy. We joked around about the Bears and Vikings this weekend and talked about potentially Minnesota having a WrestleMania 33, the new stadium, maybe Chicago having WrestleMania at Soldier Field. Talked about Hell in the Cell, his ideas for WrestleMania 32. And he also really got into what you were talking about. Will Roman Reigns fandom continue, or was it just a mirage because they're in California this past week? So a lot of cool stuff. It's just almost 2 hours long, but the show goes by really fast. I think you guys will enjoy it. It's a pro wrestling experience. It's on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. Go to the show tab, click PWE, or also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher.
So make sure you guys do definitely check that out. Jason Powell is a very good guy. A guy I know. We follow each other on Twitter. We talk here and there, and I've talked to him in the past. So Jason's a really good guy, and definitely, guys, listen. Pro Wrestling Experience, iTunes, Stitcher, and did you say Spreaker?
No, not Spreaker.
Spreaker, okay.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys definitely check that stuff out. Josh, where can we find you? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram? You got any of that cool neato stuff?
I'm at Twitter at WZ Josh Lopez. That's WrestleZone Josh Lopez. Give me a follow. I'll follow you back. Be respectful. I love to talk wrestling, sports, music. I even share some MMA opinions here and there, but I am a casual fan.
Yeah. Your takes aren't too bad for a beginner. They're not too bad.
You know, I have variety. Wrestling's not the only thing I do. Contrary to popular belief, very well-rounded with music and a bunch of other stuff. So, just nice general guy. Don't like to be too negative or whatever, but unless you're respectful of me, we can have some cool dialogue on Twitter. Also, my show's Twitter page is at PW Show. You can give that a follow. I appreciate that. Facebook, not really much to promote there. I mean, I'm not really on there that much to like tell everybody my life story. I mean, I'm only on there to promote.
I'll give you this. You're a good rant on Facebook. I like your rants. I want some great killer rants on Facebook. I love it.
Once in a while, if something like really ticks me off, like if I hear something on the podcast that pisses me off, I'm not afraid to share it on Facebook. That's where you get my dark side. So yeah.
You do vent very well on Facebook. You're a must follow on Twitter. You got a lot of great insights into wrestling. So definitely follow Josh on Twitter at WZ Josh Lopez from the great WrestleZone.com. And I want to thank your employee.
Steve, you there? Steve? God damn it.
Josh, I do not know why we keep having this issue here. I'm not liking Google Hangouts today. I'm not liking, but I was saying, make sure your stuff, Josh, if people did not see your Hell in a Cell recap, make sure they go there. It's the most popular thing right now. The most comments on WrestleZone.com and the what's hot sections. Definitely make sure check you out there. And also your great play-by-play coverage tomorrow night of Thursday night SmackDown. So I'm definitely looking forward to a good follow on Twitter. You can follow me at SMuehlhausen MMA, MUEHLHAUSEN. I don't really use Facebook too much either. Maybe a thing here and there about my dogs. About my dogs. I'll post things about podcasts, some articles. I'll have 2 articles up actually tomorrow with welterweight champion Robbie Lawler and his opponent UFC 195 on January the 2nd. The one and only Carlos Condit. So one piece is already in the can. The other one will be in the can tomorrow. Podcast will be up with them as well. And And then the fun starts in November, and holy shit, my schedule is insane. So then I have a special interview. Hopefully, I will have a couple special interviews I'll have lined up for you guys next week, some articles. But tomorrow night, we shall return for our podcast of Thursday Night SmackDown, whatever else goes on in the next 24 hours in the world of professional wrestling. And I want to thank the fans. We got a lot of better than expected views on YouTube and also on SoundCloud as well, and iTunes and Stitcher. So a pretty good number for the first time out. So we want to thank you guys for that. Thank you so much. A very, very valuable content, some comments and stuff like that. So thank you so much for that. For the beautiful and sexy Josh Lopez. Man, you don't give yourself enough credit, man. I'm serious. You are big sexy, and I am not even close to being sexy. But
there you go. Just for you, brother.
Hey, see? Young Bucks, baby, all day long. See, you're part of the Young Bucks, man. Come on now. Come on. You are a Young Buck. So come on. Hey, see how I parallel that there? Young Buck. You're a Young Buck. But for the great Josh Lopez, I am Steve Milhausen. We will see you tomorrow night.
See you later.
And then